Hi guys, so this video is basically the continuation of our previous video where we have covered the integration testing for our solution. So in our previous video, so let me give you the brief overview what we have done in our previous video and what we are going to cover as a part of this video. So in the previous video, we have created a integration test project in our solution, and we have covered the integration testing for one of our command handler, which is create product command handler. So as a part of this video, I'm going to cover two things. So the first thing would be I'm going to make the dependencies which we have injected in our create product command handle as generic. So we do not have to inject this dependency every time when we are creating the integration test file for our remaining handlers. So I'm going to make one generic integration test file where I'm going to inject these dependencies, and then we're going to inherit that generic handler test in our all the handler test files. And the second thing I would going to cover in this video is I'm going to write the integration testing for one of our command handler, which is update product command handler. So let's get started with it. So first, what I need to do, I need to create one common folder in my integration test project. Let me create one common folder here. And here I'm going to add one new file which will be generic integration test. Let me make it public abstract. And let me pass the generic parameters here. So the first would be the entry point of this generic integration test, that would be our program file. And second, what would be needing here would be needing here the application DB context that is responsible for our database. Application DB context, where T program is equal to class. So next thing I would going to do is create a constructor for it. And now what I'm going to do, I am literally going to copy these dependencies from our create product and command handler into the generic integration test. And the same I'm going to do for the read only file, read only fields as well. And let me remove this. So create product command handler, that is something we are going to declare uh, in its respected file, since it is not a generic. It is it is specific to create product command handler test. And what it is requesting, Microsoft clear hosting, and then injection. Here what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove all this declaration from here, and apart from that I'm going to remove this. Now I'm going to inherit it from our generic integration test, and here I have to pass the entry file for our application. So the program file is the entry file for our application, and second I need to pass the application DB context here. Application DB context. As you can see, now it is giving a compile error which says inconsistent accessibility. Base class is less accessible than the create product command handler test. So which says that our create product command handler has more rights than the program file. Since as you guys know, our program file is an internal file, and we have allowed the access of program file to our unit test project by providing these internal visibles to attribute in the API project. However, if we have to pass it as a generic doesn't allow that. The inheritance doesn't allow that we should be accessing the low accessible file in the high accessible file. So in that case, how are we going to make this program file accessible in our create product command handler test? So basically there are two options by which we can allow this program file to get. The first option would be we can convert this file into program.main style. So as you can see, I can convert this file into program.main style and I can make it this class as public, which I wouldn't recommend. This is not the recommended way to have an access of a program file. So let me revert it back. The other way would be we can create it is a kind of hack, you can say. So other way we can do, the other way is like we can create one partial file for it. So let me uh, implement the partial class for it. And now if we go back to our create product command handler, so we should not be getting the error and it should allow the inheritance of the program file in our create product command handler test. As you can see, it is not giving any error for it. Now let me see what error it is showing. So it is saying that product repository is inaccessible due to its protection level. This is because here we, in the generic integration test, what we have done, we have declared it as a private. So we have to convert it to protected. Now you can see the error has gone. Now we are able to access all the dependencies that require to be injected in our create product command handler, and we have successfully created a generic integration test file for it. So let's run this test file. Let's run this integration test and see whether the implementation is successful or not. As you can see, your integration test has been passed. So it means we have successfully created a separate generic integration test file where we are where we are injecting the dependencies in our create product command handler file. So we can say we have successfully, removed the dependencies into the common area. So this is the first thing that I wanted to cover as a part of this video, which we have done. So the second thing which I am going to do as a part of this video, we're going to cover the integration test for this particular command handler, which is a update product command handler. So for this, what I am going to do, as you can see, we have already created a features folder where for the product where we already have a create product. The same way I'm going to do, I'm going to create one new folder which will be the update product. And here I'm going to create a update product command handler file test file. Now I have to make it public since unit test case projects require classes to be publicly accessible. And I am going to inherit from the generic integration test file that we have created. Here I am going to pass the program and application DB context. So next I am going to write the unit integration test methods for this particular command handler. So let us first go into this command handler and see what functionality it has been covered. So as you can see, the functionality for this command handler is also simple, which is almost similar to the create product command handler, except that it is updating the product in the system. So as you can see, it is first checking whether we have a valid, we are getting a valid, we are getting a valid, 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 product ID from the request or not. If it is not, it is showing a not found exception, and if yes, if we are getting a valid product ID, in that case it is updating that product in the system. So we're going to write the integration test for this much functionality in this particular integration test. So the first test I want to cover is, I am assuming that we are going to pass the valid request in the handler, and it should be able to create our it should be able to pass our integration test in that case. So let me go ahead back, public async task update product dash should should returns updated product. And I'm going to make the constructor for it, and I need to create a handler. I need to create an instance of our update product command handler here. So update handler is equal to new update product command handler, and it requires a dependency of product repository and I unit of work. Now we have successfully instantiated our update uh, handler object. Now what we are going to do, we are going to write the test method for returning a success status if we are passing it the valid request as a parameter. So the first step would be, we need to, since we are using an in-memory database, so here we do not have the already existing product in the system. So the first step would be, we need to create one product, and we have to create that product into the system, and after that we have to update that particular, we have to retrieve that product, and we have to update that product in the system, and at the last step we have to verify whether the product which we are retrieving from the database is equal to the product which we have passed as a request to our handler. So the first step would be, I need the product ID. So UID dot new ID will be my product ID. Then let me create a product object, domain dot products dot product dot create. So I need to pass all the parameters here. So first we need to pass the product ID, since product ID is value object here. And here I'm going to pass the product ID, and then I need to pass the name as well. So I can pass original product, then I have to pass the money, new product money. So currency would be INR, and amount suppose is 50. And at the last we have to pass the SQ object as well. SQ dot create SQ 123. So we have successfully created a product object here manually. Since I am not using the fixture here, because I wanted to show how we can create an object manually and how we can pass it to our DB context as well. So as we have created a product object here, the next step would be we're going to call our DB context where we're going to pass this product. DB context dot products dot add async product save changes. So now as a part of this step, we have created a product ID in our in-memory database. So the next step would be we're going to prepare the update product command handler request, and then we're going to pass that request to this particular handler to process. So let me create command is equal to new update product command. Okay, since we have used the records here. So the product ID, then name, I want to change the name for it. So from the original product, I will write it modified product, and then SEU. Now here we have created our request that need to be passed to the update product command handlers. So let's go ahead and pass the request to it. Let be handler update handler dot handle command default. And now we are expecting that after this, the product should get updated in our database. So the next step would be so before asserting, we need to retrieve that product as well from the database. So updated product. Now what I'm going to do here, db context dot products dot single or default async, and here we need to pass product ID. Uh, dot ID is equal to new product ID. So here we have retrieved the updated product from our database which we have created as a part of this step, and we have updated the same product as a part of this step. Now we have retrieved back that product from the database. So for the assert, first we have to check whether that updated product is null or not. And second, we're going to compare the values of each property that we have passed, and we'll verify whether we have received, whether we have updated the same values in the database or not. So assert dot equal, so here we have to write update product dot, okay, so I need to make it a bit here. So update product dot name is equal to command dot name, and the similar way we're going to write for each of the properties that is there in the update product or in the read. So as you can see, we have written the assert for each of the properties that is there in the update product command. And now we're going to run our test, and we're going to see whether this test has been passed or not. So let me execute this test. As you can see, our integration test has been passed successfully here, as you can see. So now we have covered one of the valid test case that we were expecting that it should get passed, and eventually it get passed successfully. So here we have created a product, and then we have saved that product in our in memory database, and we have updated the same product as a part of our update handler, and then at the last we are comparing the values of each of the properties that is there in our request handler and in our database. So the next uh, use case that we're going to cover, as you can see in our update product command handler, there is one more use case. Suppose if that product ID we are passing as a request to the handler is not existing in the database, in that case our handler will going to throw an not found exception. So we're going to cover this use case as well as a part of our integration test. So let me write one more uh, method for it. The same task update product should go not found exception for invalid product. Product and the next would be we're going to create a request, command request for it that we need to pass through the update product command handler. So here I'm just going to copy the update product command object that we have created in our earlier method. Now what we're going to do, we're going to assert dot throw async wait handler dot handle command. Okay. And here we need to pass the exception that we are expecting from it. So that will be the not found exception. So this is our second use case that we have covered as a part of this video. Now suppose now let's go ahead and run this test method as well and see whether it is getting passed or not. As you can see, both of our test cases, integration test cases, have been passed for our update product command handler. So let's do one morning manipulation and see whether our unit test case, whether our integration test case is getting failed or not. In case if we have modified something that our integration test is not expecting. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to go in our update product command handler, and instead of throwing not found exception, we can throw the exception here as well, right? So let's see whether our test case is going to pass or not. As you can see, our update product command handler has been failed. Update product command handler, that particular test method has been failed since it was expecting not found exception, but actually it is being thrown the system dot exception, which our integration test case was not expecting. So what we're going to do in that case, we're going to again revert it back. Okay, it's not found exception. Now again, we'll go we'll go ahead and run this particular test. As you can see, our both the uh, test cases for the update product command handler has been passed. So guys, we have covered the use cases which we think that we should be covering as a part of the integration test cases for our update product command handler. So this is all we have in this video. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys like it, then like and subscribe. Thanks.